So, as you guys know, when it comes to the Jordan versus LeBron debate, everyone in the NBA has their take and their own opinion on the topic. But very, very rarely do you hear the opinion of someone in LeBron and Jordan's inner circle who knows them personally. As in today's video, LeBron James' own agent and best friend Rich Paul weighed in on the subject. So without further ado, let's hear Rich Paul on Kai Cenat's Twitch stream debate Jordan vs. LeBron. And I do apologize, the footage is a little grainy.
Of all time. The greatest of all time? I said this, by the way, I get asked this question all the time. Okay. I think Michael...
Because you done seen both of them play.
I've seen both, yeah. And I think Michael transcended the sport. And I think LeBron brought a consistency to the sport that maintained its relevancy. So, you know.
Now, stopping it right there, Rich Paul made some pretty good points, especially at the beginning. As when it comes to Jordan, even Rich Paul knows he made the NBA global and took the NBA to a different level. With his playstyle, his dunks, his commercials, the Jordan brand shoes, and especially the '92 Dream Team. What Jordan did for the NBA and basketball cannot be duplicated. And looking at LeBron James, what he did in the 2010s, even the 2000s, should be applauded. As for close to 20 years, he has shouldered much of the pressure of the NBA and its media coverage. And once guys like Kobe, Duncan, and Shaq exited their prime, LeBron for a long stretch carried the NBA and its popularity. Now, with that being said, looking at Jordan, his impact, I think, was personally greater than LeBron's. As in Jordan's era, he took the torch from Bird and Magic and elevated the game like no other. And at Jordan's absolute peak in the NBA Finals, he was must-see TV. As historically, he has 5 of the 6 highest rated and most watched series of all time. Compared to LeBron's NBA, who post-2018, whether you want to admit it or not, took a major dip in popularity. As the 2020 Finals, which featured LeBron James, were the least watched in NBA history, and even 2007, LeBron's first appearance in the Finals, the 3rd lowest all time, with 2021 being the 2nd lowest. Rich Paul's overall argument and what he's saying, I don't disagree with. But I think what he's saying proves Jordan was more impactful off the court and for the NBA as a whole. As even in 2023, Michael Jordan's shoes outsold LeBron James, KD, and Curry combined.
You see all these guys on TV every day, and it's like, oh, it's Michael and it's about the rings. Well, if it's about the rings, then it should be Bill Russell. Because he got 11, right?
Okay.
So if you're only counting 6-0 in the finals, okay, we give that, right? But when you're talking about how hard it is to get there, and if you're just making it about wins and losses, like if you want to move the furniture around in the room, we can move it whichever way to make it as comfortable as you want to make it.
You gotta give Rich Paul and Clutch Sports credit. They're working overtime to prove Jordan isn't the GOAT, acting like his case revolves solely on 6 championships. As even LeBron fans and non-Jordan fans know, rings, they matter, but they're not everything. And for NBA fans specifically, there are definitely 2 extremes. On one hand, you have some fans who argue championships are all that matter. On the flip side, you have fans who don't value championships at all. And one corny line I'm tired of hearing is that, well, if rings matter, Bill Russell's the GOAT. First off, rest in peace Bill Russell. I'm tired of hearing his name brought up as a pawn in the GOAT debate. And I'm sorry, but every fan knows Bill Russell's era was completely different than the 80s, 90s, and especially today. As looking at Bill Russell's first championship, in 1957, here's what the NBA looked like. In total, there were 8 teams. And Boston that year won 44 games had the best record in the NBA. No other team outside them won 40 games, and half the NBA wasn't above 500. Now when it came to playoffs, being the top seed, you got a first round bye in a league with 8 teams. In the conference finals, it wasn't even best of 7, it was best of 5. And looking at Russell's team, he had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Hall of Fame teammates. Also adding some context, in the 50s, there was no free agency and no player movement. And the harsh reality is, back in the 50s, NBA teams literally would trade black players because they were black. That is how Bill Russell ended up in Boston getting traded from Atlanta. Bill Russell, of course, is an all-time great player and a pioneer of the game who should be respected. But using his name and 11 championships as a pawn in the GOAT debate to downplay winning is an argument I hate hearing. And speaking of winning, when it comes to Jordan's 6 championships, Rich Paul kinda brushed them off, saying, quote, "He's 6-0 in the finals, yeah, we get that." Like I said before, being 6-0 isn't everything, but it is very important. And Jordan's individual play in the finals is as close to perfection as you'll see. In 91, averaging 31, 11, and 7, 92, 36, 7, and 5, 93, 41, 9, and 6, 96, 27, 5, and 4, 97, 32, 7, and 6, and last but not least 98, averaged 34, 4, and 2. I don't think fans quite grasp it. Michael Jordan's worst series was averaging 27 versus a stacked Sonics team. For some legends and Hall of Famers, that series will be their best finals performance. And looking at Rich Paul's last statement, he also said how hard it is to get to the NBA Finals, which I love him bringing up. As looking at Jordan's era, prime Jordan versus prime LeBron, their East were night and day. As for Jordan's East, it was highly competitive and cutthroat nearly every single season. As from 85 to 98, when Jordan played, there were a total of 38 50-win teams and 6 60-win teams. Compare LeBron James, who from 2018 to 06 only had 21 50-win teams and 6 60-win teams. The overall competitiveness of Jordan's East is highly underrated and even downplayed.
Michael grew the game. After 92, after he was in Barcelona, the game grew, right? So from that point, Michael transcended. Kobe came at a time right in the middle, which, again, he was, I mean, there's nothing you can say about Kobe. He's a perfect basketball player in a lot of ways. And then for LeBron to come on the back, both Michael and Kobe, and then maintain his consistency going to, LeBron's been to the finals half his career. Damn. Right, so that's pretty hard to do.
So stopping Rich right there, I do want to compliment him because obviously he knows NBA history and the passing of torch from era to era. And in that regard, for the most part, I agree with Rich 100%. But at the very end of that clip, he brought up LeBron James making the finals 10 times. Now, of course, that accomplishment is great, is amazing, and should be applauded. But for Rich Paul, earlier, he said basketball players, it's not just winning and losing. But now for LeBron James, when it benefits his argument, he brings up winning and making the finals. I guess you could say Rich Paul, in some ways, contradicts his past points from this video. As looking at Jordan, him being 6-0 in the finals was definitely downplayed by Rich. But LeBron making the finals 10 times, losing over half them, was celebrated. And also to build off that, Rich Paul earlier brought up Bill Russell and his championships to downplay winning, saying, quote, "If rings matter so much, Bill Russell is the GOAT." Well, with using that logic, for finals appearances, wouldn't Magic be better than LeBron on an all-time list? As 9 times in 13 seasons, Magic Johnson made the finals, including 7 of 8 years. And unlike LeBron James, he has 5 rings and less finals losses than finals wins. My point right here is pretty simple. If you downplay winning for Jordan, you can't uplift it for LeBron James, when quite literally, Michael Jordan won more than LeBron. As far as I'm concerned, in the NBA Finals, there is no second place trophy and no reward for finishing runner-up. And like always, winning 6 times in 6 tries will outpace winning 4 times in 10 tries. Rich Paul in this video made some very generic arguments sprinkled in with some pretty good points about NBA history, and I think his best point was pointing out each era builds off the previous. Jordan to Kobe, Kobe to LeBron, and LeBron to Giannis, etc. So that right there is my last point for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.